We have a new episode of the Odds and End Zones podcast on the Bleeding Green Nation Radio Podcast Network. I'm your host, the Deputy Sports Editor of PhillyVoice.com, Shamus Clancy. And I am joined, as always, by my guy, Zo. Zo, how's it going?
My brother, happy, or should I say season's greetings. Happy
Season's greetings.
Training camp to everybody. I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. I know we've been talking about it, but you're much more in the throes of it than I am professionally. So I know you guys are pumped as well.
Yeah, we're recording this around noon on Tuesday. Eagles reported to camp today. They'll actually have practice tomorrow. On Wednesday, Eagles media members will be down there. I will be down there providing a lot of great content, both on PhillyVoice.com here and on BGN Radio. Today, the biggest thing today, though, did you try for the Phillies speed dunks?
Yes, can confirm. Yes, can also confirm I did not get it. Third, can also confirm that I wear probably the most popular sneaker size, which is 11.5. Well, sneaker size / shoe size, but in my sneaker buying years, I'm used to 11.5, like 11.5 being gone first. So I never ever have my my hopes up. I think my last big win might have been Jordan 7s, the Cardinals. And like since then, dude, I have not registered a W. It's kind I'm used to going to the aftermarket route.
Yeah, me too. I haven't got a pair of sneakers ever on sneakers, and I'm kind of a sneaker. Like all of the Jordans I have are from like the pre-sneakers era, where you would just log on to Foot Locker at 10 a.m. or at midnight. That's how I got Concord 11s, Breads, and just the sneaker game has changed so much. I got a pair of military blue 4s that I wear almost every day for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
That I walked into Ubic, which isn't even the store anymore down in Center City, right? It's not even a store anymore. And got them like several months after they actually dropped. So you mean you could do stuff like I remember I went in there, got some graduation money for high school, was still working a part-time job too, and I got a pair of LeBron 9 Ohio State and military blue Jordan 4s. And you could never do something like that ever. And I paid, retail price months after both sneakers were released.
I remember I got a pair of LeBron, I think it might have been the 8s, the Christmas ones.
Yeah.
You can't, like you said, at the time I literally just went into Foot Locker in King of Prussia and got them and walked out and like
the most casual thing ever.
Right, literally the most casual thing ever. Now it's a week-long production to get a sneaker that you like. Like the market is so weird and crazy now. That, like,
it makes me not want sneakers anymore. I'd rather go buy, a pair of Air Max 95s from the outlet at the gallery, or like I got some Flyknit Air Force Ones last year that I got on sale on Foot Locker randomly. Like I'd rather get that than deal with all the BS. And you can never, like, SB Dunks before used to be able to get a pair easily. Now just the things change and hypebeast and all that BS. Yeah. Like you can't get a pair of those ever. Like I was just looking for any pair just to kind of get on the fad, and it's impossible. Like I'm now an Air Jordan 1 mid guy. Very controversial choice. But you got to take what you can get. I got a pair, I think they were pine green was the color. So obviously I went for the Eagles vibes.
You got to take what you can get, like, because the way that, like, there's no rhyme or reason to Nike's releases now, and then there's so many. The other issue is these boutique stores popping up. They'll go and jumble the market as well. So like you have like 6 little mom and pop like shops. Again, support local, obviously, but like these shops all Nike, instead of sending them all their own shipment, will make them all split like 1,000 pairs or something.
We've gentrified sneakers. Congrats, everyone.
Thank you. Congrats. Good job. Good job, folks.
Yeah. I'm looking at, I didn't get them at the time because I think I was in between pay cycles, the Midnight Green Answer 4s. And this has just turned into a sneaker podcast, but I wonder if I could find them now. I need like an impulse purchase after not getting them. Yeah. And I say this as someone who spent an inordinate amount of money on Bruce Springsteen tickets this morning. I'm an Eagles beat writer. I'm a Philadelphia sports journalist. I had to go and get the spring. Everyone had like an impossible time. Like Boston Philly Voice Evan Macy's a gigantic Springsteen guy too. Like, wasn't able to get tickets. No one I knew got tickets besides me, and I was and it was all through Wells Fargo Center. It wasn't Ticketmaster. It was just him. It wasn't Springsteen's website. And I finally there was like this huge queue that no one got through. I ended up getting through, and I kept trying to add any of the specific cheaper sections on there, and there were no tickets available. And then I was just doing like best available seats, and nothing was coming up. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then like on the 10th time I tried, I got them in. They were definitely in a section I wasn't looking at for price reasons, but I was just one of those things like, you know what? If I don't get these, if I don't pay for these now, I'm not going to be able to get any tickets. I'm going to be like really sad come March when the actual concert is. So I just bit the bullet and got them. And given that no one else has them, I feel a little bit better about it.
I love that the timeline was people in line for the Dunks and people in line for Springsteen tickets, and then everyone else who's just like, I'm hyped for training camp.
Yeah, it was a great timeline this morning on Philly Twitter. You had everyone going for the Phillies Dunks.
Yep.
The like younger millennial and up white guys going for the Springsteen tickets, and then everyone vibing about the Birds.
Right. It was perfect. It was actually it was harmonious.
It was all my brands converging, and I also got the Brian Dawkins Wolverine cover that I had ordered.
Oh right, yeah.
So this was the most on, and I'm off today, and I feel like I'm working. Like I'm technically off in Philly Voice. I'll be doing. There's no such thing as like, and I'm not complaining. I absolutely love my job and love the way it is. I'm not being like that. But I don't really have off days, which is fun too. At the same time, like I do the stuff I love, and I'm lucky in that regard.
I think that, not putting words in your mouth, but I feel like when there's actual football to talk about, for the, you guys cover everything, but like for the main sport that you cover,
I mean, like all over, we're not selling secrets. Like the Eagles are bread and butter, clicks wise, all the things, article wise. That's if it wasn't for the Eagles, if it wasn't for training camp now, we're starving for sports stories over the last month where we're doing all this like ranking every Eagles returner and trying to create evergreen content. It was a little tough. Sixers flamed out. Phillies are just so inconsistent and maddening. I've written more Phillies articles than I have Eagles articles in my time there. Just given, I came on late February, early March. But so happy to be banging out a couple of Eagles articles a day down in camp. I'll be there Wednesday, so tomorrow. I don't know when you're listening to this. I'm off Thursday. They're off practice Thursday, and I'll be there Friday and Saturday as well. So
that's awesome. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And like I'm the one practice I'm off, I think, is that open practice at the link.
Yeah.
On the Sunday night. But I ended up just buying those tickets. I don't care about paying the money goes to the Eagles Autism Challenger Foundation, whatever it's specifically called. But I'm sure I'll end up like going there and interviewing like 10 fans and running an article about it, even though it's like my off day. That's what the vibe is all about.
I think me and Amari are going to be there. So
we'll have to chat.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's open seating, so we could always sit together too.
Yeah.
It'll be my lone time to go to the link as a quote unquote spectator.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah.
This year. So that's why I kind of really wanted to go to. I kind of sit amongst my people for a little bit.
Did you get your credentials and stuff yet, like for game day and all that?
Not for the season. I had to fill out a bunch of forms.
Okay.
Some was like COVID stuff with vaccination requirements for camp. So I'm all, did that over the weekend. They sent out like an email last Friday saying like, hey, these are the dates. My boss is like the main editor, the executive for managing sports editor, filled everything out. And then I had to fill out the same form like every time for every practice I was scheduled to go to, which is fine. Like this is a billion-dollar company, industry company, whatever you want to say. So it's fine. I think I'd rather get the Springsteen tickets than the Dunks. I think I can comfortably say that.
I think that's fair.
If I just came out 50%, I would have been happy today. So I can't really complain. A lot of people got nothing.
I feel like people, like there was people that we know who were in line for both and came away with squat. So I guess 50% is better than zero at this point.
If you don't live in the larger Delaware Valley, I don't think you should have been allowed to purchase the Dunks. And I'm not even saying like, and this is a difference for me. I'm not even saying like you have to live like in the city or be from the city, which is also like a very mistake. Just like the way that, like the Nationals before when the Phillies were good, you had to either have a zip code that was in DC or Virginia or Maryland to buy tickets to stop Phillies fans from coming and take it down. Yeah, like and I'm sure there are some people who just got them, and I hate resellers and all that BS too. Like I'm sure people from out of state got them, and they're reselling for they were $115 retail. I'm sure they're selling for $300, $400, $500, whatever right now. There's no crazy Philly people are going to buy sneakers that have a cheesesteak and a Liberty Bell in there. Maybe I do at some point too, but we'll see.
Well, it's like people from out of the tri-state buying the blue toe questions.
Any Iverson sneaker, you should have to only you have like a 48-hour period where you only sell to people with certain zip codes in the tri-state area, like South Jersey, Southeastern Pennsylvania, Northern Delaware, like that. And then it's open to the general public after that.
They're releasing to the public after that. But give us at least 2 days to get our act together.
Yeah, and if you want to take it further and make it even, people only in North Carolina or Illinois can buy Jordans for 48 hours. I'll take that. I'll do that trade-off if it allows us to get stuff like this in the Iversons easier.
I'll buy that. That's fine. Totally works for me.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to camp at? What are you looking forward to? I did a pre-write yesterday. It dropped today on PhillyVoice.com. 5 storylines that I was interested in following. Yeah. Obviously, Hurts year 3 is going to look sharper. People always saying he's been in all these different systems in his career. He played under Lane Kiffin and Brian Daboll, and then Lincoln Riley, then Doug Peterson, and now Nick Sirianni. But he's been Sirianni's system 2 years in a row, especially given the offensive line up front and the pass catchers between Goddard, Smith, and A.J. Brown. Excuses have to be minimized. Everything, those little mistakes that you can chalk up to saying, he's in his first 2 years in the league, he's a different coach. All that kind of goes out the window, and everything's in the position for him to ball out, and it's up to him now. And I'm excited to see what happens. He's not the most training camp ready player. We've talked about before. He's not a real 7-on-7 player, and maybe that says more about his passing game. But you have to play to his strengths too, and he's a better, 60-minute player, or however you want to say, 11-on-11 player, real speed player than a 7-on-7 player. Though there will be, I'm sure, true 11-on-11 action over the next few weeks that the media will actually see.
I'll give you 3. So the first one is obviously Hurts. And you mentioned the continuity. I feel like, I was thinking about it a lot over the past couple of days, and because you mentioned it, Jimmy mentioned it in the article that he wrote. But continuity, right, and how important that is.
Yeah.
And I know for all his flaws, Joel Embiid has had 2 MVP seasons under Doc Rivers' system, right? So continuity absolutely works. I'm not saying it wins you championships, we know that doesn't, but I think it, in terms of making your best players play their best, there's certainly something to be said for it. So I'm interested in that. The second one is the health of Nicolby Dean. I think that he is. I think 2 weeks ago, Howie mentioned that the medicals on him scared other teams off, but they trust their team doctors, and they trust that he didn't need surgery, he doesn't need surgery. He even said he doesn't need surgery, or that he won't get surgery, and Howie said that they all fully expect him to be a full participant, which is huge, honestly, because he's a guy who I think right now they have him on number 1 on the depth chart. So.
They have 2 linebackers. It's Kaiser White and him.
Right, him and Kaiser White,
Hassan Reddick as that weapon, linebacker, pass rusher, rather than a true off-ball linebacker, it looks like.
So I'm interested in him, and his progress for sure, and if he stays healthy. And I'm interested in, surprise, Jordan Davis. I want to see, if he was able to stay in the shape that he came into minicamp in. How he looks conditioning wise, where they line him up at. They may, I know training camp you don't show everything, but I'm definitely interested to see, what weapon or how they use him weapon wise, how he continues to learn Fletcher Cox. I know Fletcher Cox has been in his ear a lot already. The team has said he said, excuse me. So I'm excited to see that. I think that's more than anything, kind of the passing of the torch from Fletch to him, and Nicolby Dean kind of taking over the QB position in that defense will tell a big tale of how far they go.
I think Dean will be the best homegrown Eagles linebacker since Jared Myatrow.
Yo, yeah.
not like a large bar declare. I mean, Jordan Hicks and Michael Kendrick had some open.
Right, yeah.
And that defensive tackle rotation, I wrote about this week, is fascinating because Hargrave was a Pro Bowler last year.
Yep.
Fletch isn't prime Fletch, but a multiple-time All-Pro player.
Right.
Jordan Davis was maybe the best player in college football last year, and Milton Williams, I think, could start on several.
I love Milton Williams.
I love him, and Jordan Davis is like this souped-up version of him in a way, in the sense that Milton Williams tested unbelievably athletically at the combine, and he was from a small school, so it's a lot different than Georgia. But I think they're going to keep those guys fresh, and I think that'll help Davis early in his career. People concerned about conditioning, stamina, I think it might be a little bit overblown.
Yeah,
there's a situation where they're beating the crap out of teams. He's not going to play. He doesn't need to play all the time.
Right.
But keeping those guys fresh all year, especially for a team with championship aspirations and playoff hopes, come December. I mean, I don't think it's crazy that, and this isn't like a slight at Fletcher Cox. It's more about the whole unit. Like Fletcher Cox might have the fourth best season of all these defensive tackles. And again, that's on a slight of Fletch saying like he's washed. I'm not saying that, but it just speaks to what the group is right now. We have Hargrave in his prime and two young guys who I think have tremendous potential in this league.
I think the most important thing will definitely be keeping them fresh. In December and in November, really, and December, the field starts to shrink, and teams, quarterbacks hate throwing a cold football, receivers hate catching a cold football, and next thing you know, they're pounding the rock, 20, 30 times a game. It would do wonders for them all to have semi-fresh legs, and still be able to withstand that. Because that's really, if you look at it, the teams that win during that time of year, they always wind up doing it with the running game, right? So you shut down the running game. No team's going to pass 50 times on December 2nd. You know what I mean? So I think that's a really, really, really big plus. They can keep those guys healthy, and that rotation is monstrous. I think that they, for all my money, honestly, I think Milt Williams, is a guy who, he's going to have. He's one of my breakout candidates for this year.
If Jordan Davis wasn't here, we'd be talking about him so much more.
Yes, 1,000%. And he, along with Quez on the other side, are my breakout candidates for the year. So I think that we're going to be certainly in for something special.
I love Quez in the slot. More so than on the outside.
I'm glad that he's getting the respect from the team.
I like a vertical slot player.
Yeah. I like, for me, and I watch we both watch a lot of Big Ten football, but a lot of those teams run slot guys, specifically, Penn State and Ohio State. But like those teams that can put a speedster in the slot and let them go, they're so good. I'm glad that they finally have someone who can do that, because I think that it just adds another level of danger to your offense. I think it's going to do Jalen a lot of good.
I mean, they're top 4 pass catchers, and with Quez as the fourth guy, obviously a different tier than Goddard, who could be a top 5 tight end. AJ Brown's top 10. Devontae Smith. I mean, Jimmy Kemsky has said that he thinks Devontae Smith is better than AJ Brown, and talking with him and some of the stuff that you're running, he might have a better season than him. And that might not be out of the question given the way
it's not crazy.
Coverages may scheme up for AJ Brown, leave Smitty open more. If who's lining up on which side, we know Hurts kind of rolls to the right more often than not, so we'll see stuff like that. Are they using Smitty in the slot sometimes? Are they, putting Zach Pascal out there instead of Quez Watkins, changing things up? But the pass catcher unit, it's better than it's been in so long, I guess, since you had the heyday of Macklin and D-Jack at their peak, and Selk, I guess, was a top 10 tight end. I mean, not a top 5 guy, but a top 10 tight end in that era too. And Shady was a threat of the backfield, all that stuff.
I think another thing that I'm looking forward to is just the dominance of the O-line, right? Like we haven't talked a ton, which is great. When you don't have to talk a lot about anything like that,
not talking about the offensive line means the offensive line is really good.
Right. That means the offensive line is good. It's probably, for all intents and purposes, probably the strongest spot on this team. So it's great that we don't have to mention it at all. But I'm just excited to see, the continuity being the word. I'm just excited to see the continuity, to see, how Jalen looks behind them. I think that everything circles back to how Hurts feels, right? How he looks, how he feels, how he comes out. I feel almost, I almost feel bad for him because everything's going to be under such a tight microscope with him. From the first pass he throws tomorrow to literally the first drive that they're all going to play on the preseason game. But I think that it is what it is. But I'm excited to see the O line in action again. I think that they are, bar none, the best in the league, if not top 2 or 3, depending on how you see what's going on in Buffalo and how you see Dallas's offensive line as well. But for sure, if not number 1, at least 2, 1A or 2.
Did you see? And we're ahead of the curve always. Obviously, the Athletic on their kind of executives and coaches poll did the tiered ranking of quarterbacks yesterday. That kind of blew up.
Yeah,
did you see that? And Jalen and Wentz are both tied for 20.
For 20, yeah.
In the tier 3, I think they're both tier 3. That's kind of what we did last time.
Yep.
I didn't really rank specific players, and it was like QBs that. Or just like God mode, like the top 4, like Mahomes, Allen, Brady, Rodgers, and then QBs you win because of, and that's like Derek Carr and Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, but they could be in the top tier, the top 2 tier guys at minimum. And tier 3, you're gonna have like Garoppolo and Kirk Cousins and Hurts and Wentz.
I think
the Lamar Jackson coding in that was surely something. It was a Jack Del Rio.
That was definitely right. Let's call him Dak Del Rio, an anonymous defensive coordinator, saying that he doesn't like Lamar as a quarterback. So we all know literally who it was. I mean, even it's funny
he should convert to wide receiver.
Right. He just he's excellent. He's excellent as a football player, as a 1, but I don't know if he can be a quarterback.
Well, I don't understand. Why is he a 1 as a football player, not a quarterback? You're saying he's like a 1 as a running back? Do you know what I mean? Like it would make more sense if you said Deebo Samuel is a 1 as a football player because he does everything. Like he's like a true athlete in that regard. But I take Lamar. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah,
and if he won, I think it'd be pretty nice if he won 12 MVPs. I think I'd have to give him some credit. Obviously, doing something that I think Peyton has the record for MVPs for 5. So if Lamar Jackson won 12. I think I'd have to give him a thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, at number 12, I think we can finally call him a pretty okay football player.
Yeah,
he gets 12 MVPs, but that's life as Lamar. Unfortunately, I mean, he's about to get paid though, or he should be. Like,
I don't know. They seem hesitant to pay him.
Dude. They're not doing that. Article did him no favors, and then them being already hesitant is so weird to me. Like I since we're in it, let's just be in it. But Kyler getting, $100 million guaranteed.
The stuff in the Kyler contract is still like he got slapped in the face with the homework thing.
Like, do your homework. Like, here's $100 million guaranteed. We just need 4 hours of homework from you. The guy, first of all, doesn't even want to be there. But $250 million to make anybody stay anywhere. So I get it. But it's weird how that Lamar negotiation is going, which is not going at all. So
you think they could just do it with Tyler Huntley, and they're going to try to trade him after the season and be like, let's pay this guy 25 to 30 million less than
no, what we both know.
Nothing surprised me in the NFL.
I was going to say
quarterback and pay, and then sometimes like the coded weird stuff. And
I'm not surprised at all because. What did we hear at the end of, or what was it? Maybe right before the draft, how the Cardinals didn't even like Kyler, right?
I thought there was a chance the Eagles were going to trade for Kyler this summer.
Yes,
his contract kicked in.
Yes, like we literally leading up to the
2 firsts, 2 2s, and Hurts.
Like the conversation was going to happen. Then remember he put out that statement, like that long letter to Arizona.
He took all the stuff off social media, right?
Yeah. All social media stuff. He unfollowed them on Instagram. Like I'm not surprised by anything anymore. So I do think that probably, if you go in their front office, that there's like 2 or 3 folks who are like, look, like maybe Tyler Huntley gets it done for us. Maybe we can let's just see what happens with Tyler Huntley. But I don't know. I don't understand not having your team at full force, and your team at full force is with the guy who literally is a perennial MVP.
Dude, his passing numbers that year that he won MVP were. I'm looking it up now because I want to confirm everything. I don't want to just. There has to be people in the league that absolutely are still sick several years later that he won MVP, right?
Yeah. Oh, you know it is. Yeah.
So in 2019, for a guy who can't throw, led the league in touchdown passes and touchdown rate. I think that's and QBR. QBR takes in running, but you still have to be a pretty darn good thrower to have.
You still got to be a good thrower,
right? What was his yards per attempt? 7.8 yards per attempt. 113 QB rating. Seems pretty good to me. What do I know though? 66% completion percentage, not some Sam Bradford, Drew Brees number, but quite good.
67% is still insane.
Yeah.
And like I feel like this is a point that you can if you want to make a point about him and his quarterback ability, like why not just say he needs to cut down on turnovers? That's easy. You can just say, "Oh, I love Lamar. He's got to turn. He's got to take better care of the ball in crucial situations, or like when he's in the red zone, they turn the ball over too much."
Yeah, like the 16-13 touchdown interception ratio last year.
Right.
I mean, he only played 12 games out of 17, but not quite the efficiency that you would want. But still got to pay the guy, right?
Right. Still got.
The alternative is so much worse, and I think he's a guy I'd be comfortable with paying that much money.
I'm just not sure. Like, you either pay him or, I mean, you literally. If I'm his agent, I'm sending that clause directly to the front office right now, saying you either have the guy who's already got a leaving MVP or the dude who has to get paid to study his game book. It's silly. The whole process is silly right now. Like I hate this part of the game for any athletes, because I feel like sometimes when you don't want to get paid or when you're at odds with a team, all of a sudden stuff starts to leak. Oh, guys in the locker room are split. Such and such don't like him. Oh, he quit in the Giants game, or whatever. Like, and then all of a sudden stuff just gets all muddled up, and next thing you know, everybody feels a little dirty after.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to be the Eagles punt returner this year? I love the return game stuff. That's kind of the minutia on there.
Listen, I know we mentioned it offline, but I think Pascal's going to make the team and be the punt returner.
Okay. I think he's definitely making the team. I would say he's not a lock the way Brown, Smith, and Quezar, but
no,
there's no way he's not on the team. I don't think. Like, he's the clear number 4 receiver to me. I think Jalen Reagor makes it, even though that would probably be a controversial thing for Eagles fans. I think he'll make the team. I think they're reticent to giving up him this early.
Yeah,
and that 6th spot's going to be between 2 guys. I wrote this yesterday. 2 guys are going to be instant training camp fan favorites. Britton Covey and Devin Allen, given the returning ability for Covey, and then the Olympic U.S. national champion hurdling stuff for Allen. There's going to be one big
got robbed last week
from Devin Allen. That's disqualification. And I hate when people are like, "Oh, these Eagles fans are going to go crazy over some random wide receiver." Like, that's the whole point of training camp for fans, is to get irrationally excited and happy about something that's happening. Like, good for them if everyone's freaking out and customizing Devin Allen's jersey is on Fanatics. Like, that's what it's about.
That's training camp. How many times have you turned on Hard Knocks and literally one of the biggest storylines is a guy, like a random guy who like becomes the guy that you're supposed to root for throughout the whole show. Like, that's it. That's what it's all about.
Who's on Hard Knocks? I'm trying to figure it out. Is it the Lions?
I think it's the Lions.
Yes, the Lions. For a second, I thought it was the Cardinals, and I was like, "Wait, they're going to do the Cardinals after all this crazy Tyler stuff?"
Yeah. Well,
Dan Campbell could be entertaining.
He could
on
be
Hard Knocks.
He could be entertaining. Your
boy. We're going to get Papa Swift on there. You think
our guy's going to be on there? Papa Swift on there might listen. I talked.
You might have a cameo.
I talked to some people the other day who said that that he might be on there but
It's weird
I
because he's
think
like not
that
a team employee, obviously,
yeah,
right?
he's right. He's not a team employee. It would just have to be like an actual like story they run on him. He's going to get a lot of DeAndre's going to get a lot of FaceTime, obviously, because he is their
He's
bell
their face of the team, right?
cow, right? So like, I think that they're going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of interesting stuff with them. They have a really cool coaching staff, and I think that they have. It's you know what I feel like as a team that so many people expected so little from and continue to, it's there's nowhere to go but up. So it should just be fun to watch.
Yeah. What else am I looking forward to camp? The Devin Allen thing. I think it sucks now that guys don't really play much in the preseason and
Yeah,
it's all about but I think the lower roster guys are going to play. So I think being able to check out some of those bottom tier receivers that fans are going to be hyped about and be able to write about and cover will be nice come preseason. Like I'll be going to the first preseason game. That's August 12th, a Friday night lights against the Browns, I think.
it's the Browns. Yeah.
The Browns, yeah. Eagles.
Do you think? What do you think?
Ooh, so that's Hurts Tua the next game, even if
That
Hurts
hurts
even
for the next
plays.
game, right?
That'd be a nice storyline. I could get something out of.
Do you want, or do you? What do you think about Jesse Bates?
Oh, week 1 is Jets at home, then at Browns at Dolphins. So I had that mixed up.
There you go. Right.
Just as a clarification to our loyal
It's
listeners.
always JETS.
Yeah. That's usually the last game, but obviously there's no 4 games anymore.
Right.
So there's just something different there now. Miami's interesting. Jimmy Kempsey getting a little trip to Miami.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, if he wants to,
Yeah.
if he wants to take some vacation time, that's okay with me.
Miami coming in with the most.
Maybe let someone else go.
The Dolphins coming in with the most accurate quarterback in the league, right?
Yeah, I don't like him. I'm sure people from the outside say about it. I think Hurts is better than him. I wish they had it I wish they played each other in the regular season.
I think Hurts is better too. I think that I didn't like him at Bama.
I think people don't like him in the locker room, and that's not saying he's a bad guy, but there's like a leadership intangible thing there. It's missing. Again, it's not saying he's a bad guy. It's like that whole thing with Fitzpatrick was weird, where they the organization wanted to play Tua, but the coaching staff and the players wanted Fitzpatrick, and they're going back and forth and stuff. That's a bad vibe, which is the complete inverse of everything that's happened with Jalen. Speaking strictly in terms of intangibles, locker room, off the field stuff, not just straight on field performance.
And I think that there's a lot of people who think that he got his coach fired, which is not too far off the truth.
Yeah, a lot of things happened there.
Yeah, a whole lot
things happened there.
Thanks. All right, BB. So who? Well, I guess it's a 2-part question. Is one, like, are you comfortable with the secondary now? And 2, if Jesse Bates is still out there in the middle of camp, what do we do? Or what do you do if you're Howie? Like, do you just continue to go all in again?
I don't want to trade players for him. And it's the caveat. It's obvious to say, oh, let's give our bad stuff to get our team's good stuff. I'm not saying that. I'm not just saying like, oh, I'll give him a 3rd rounder and Isaac Seumalo, just like saying a random player. I don't want to necessarily give up key starters at certain positions to just create holes elsewhere because you're filling that hole at safety. Like, I'm not trying to – I don't know who said this, but one Eagles Twitter thing I saw was like Landon Dickerson in the 2nd round. I was like, why are you messing with the best offensive line in the NFL?
Literally,
and creating a hole there? And I get to have depth and it's stuff, but they were so good last year. Why are we doing this just to pay a safety? I'm not talking about the positional value of the safety, but you're going to invest big money at this guy when you're having guys on cost-controlled contracts, on rookie contracts, and messing up the continuity on the offensive line there. And then, so I mean, if it's a thing, they're just going to give up picks, sure, but I'm not in the pick and player mode right now for that. And that's obviously not going to get it done, and that's fine for me.
Yeah,
he didn't report today. He didn't report today, as a heads up to.
Yeah, he did not report today. Again, we're recording this on Tuesday at 12. Well, it's 12:40 now, but he didn't report today, and it looks like the last that we heard, or last that we saw, the Bengals at some point expect him to show up, but they got Daxton Hill, I think, that they drafted who's probably going to get all those reps until he shows up. And the other thing is, it's not just we talk about this a lot with basketball, but it's not just about trading for him. Once you get him in here, you still got to pay him, and like you can't pay him until next year, if I'm not mistaken. So like,
yeah, so there's not like I have no doubt that if Howie's trading for them, there's some kind of handshake agreement that he's going to sign, but like things can go south easily, and there's no, the Eagles are 5-2. Things are, they're rolling their top 5 of defensive DVO. They're going to extend them midseason. He's on the franchise tag. The deadline for him to sign a long-term extension has passed for this season.
Right.
There's no trade and immediate extension like AJ Brown. There's no in-season extension coming. That's a scary variable for any team out there. That's parting with choice picks and likely some very good players on the way to acquire him.
Yeah, like the Bengals aren't going to want just a pick or whatever. They're going to want
it's straight 5th rounder and Andre Dillard.
Right.
But why would they do that?
Why?
Yeah, sure the Eagles can do that, but
yeah,
why are they doing that?
And I'm sure that they might have even called. Howie may have even called and say, "Look, we'll give you Andre Dillard in the 4th rounder," and the Bengals probably hung up the phone right away. Like, why? Yeah. Like this is a guy also like they're in the business of saying, "Look, if they reach the point of no return, they're going to get whatever they can for him." Yeah. So like which they should, but
I mean, if it's September 1st and they're swinging a trade because his value has tanked, all hats off to Howie. But I wouldn't be going out of. And if they acquire him and it's a low cost, I'm going to tip my hat to Howie and say it's a great move and it's exciting for the team to have this. But as of right now, I'm not moving heaven and earth to get him, even though he obviously is a very good player at the lone hole of taking the quarterback conundrum out of it. The lone big hole they have. Hurts is more of an unknown than a question mark. It's more of a question mark than a hole, whereas they have a legit hole at safety.
And I think that for a team that has done a good job this offseason and bringing in some more depth and continuing to build the roster up, I don't think this is the right time to give guys away. Like,
yes,
and
that's talking about continuity too. Like we talked about Hurts, that speaks for the whole roster. I saw a tweet this morning. I want to make sure I'm crediting the right person here. Anthony Reinhardt, who just does like visualization data like about the NFL.
Yeah.
Looking at how many players from last year's initial 53-man roster that are on the team's current rosters right now, the Eagles are tied with the Lions, coincidentally. The Eagles have 43 of their 53 guys that were on the initial 53-man roster last year still in the building now.
Yep.
That's continuity. I don't want to break that up. Because you look at the 2016, 2017 Eagles, they added some guys, but the core nucleus had been there for a little bit right there. Yeah. I think the continuity is a huge factor that season.
And it matters.
That matters like on the offensive line too. Like that's why people are like, I'm not trading anyone on this anyone that's a starter on this offensive line, and even Dillard, I think is a valuable piece as a backup. Like he's not a starter for the Birds, but it only takes one injury for him to be a key cog going forward. He could be Big V 2.0 in terms of the impact he has to come in if there's a injury akin to the way that Vaitai played in 2017 on the Super Bowl run.
Also, in they again best in the league, but also a line that has missed. Guys have missed a lot of time. Like Lane Johnson has missed time. In recent years. Like,
I'm sure there's some game where Jordan Mailata is starting at right tackle and Dillard is starting at left tackle.
Yep,
I don't know what the odds are, but if they were minus 110, I'd throw $20 on it.
You can bank on it because that's just the way it is. You're also in the way that they play in the trenches. Yeah, guys are going to get nicked. Guys are going to get banged up.
It's an inherently position that is inherently going to cause injuries. It's the most physical part of the game of the most physical part of the game of the most physical major North American sport.
I mean, no other position do they fit you preemptively for knee braces. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like that's a little inside track into just how physical and dirty it gets down there.
Lane is kind of getting into elder Jason Peters territory. I don't mean it as a slight to. I mean that as a slight to neither of them. Jason Peters is the first ballot Hall of Famer in my book. Someone that should have his number retired, and I think Lane is still the best right tackle in football. Yep. But just Oh, he tore his ACL that play. Oh, he's back in the next play. Like, Lane Johnson's out. What happened? I think he broke his forearm and tore his ACL. 3 plays later, he's out there pancaking.
Got good panty, right? He's like LeBron. Whenever you think LeBron has broken his ankle,
this is it. This is LeBron's first like career-altering injury. Fourth quarter, he's out there doing the tomahawk slam.
This is it. I think this is it. I think his ankle literally touched his ankle touched the court. This is it. And he just tightens up his sneaker and he's back in.
Yeah, Lane Johnson. My whole body. It's like SpongeBob. Every morning I break my back, and every night I break my legs. Like that's. And then he just still comes out there. Gets graded as a 90.1 on PFF, and the Eagles win by 7.
And he's back home in his barn doing 2,000 burpees.
You're putting the daily deposits in. You're gearing up for a bro barn appearance, I think.
Yeah, I'm gearing up.
I don't think I would do well there, but I think you might.
Listen, I heard it's invite only. I'm gearing up for my invite. So Lane, if you listen,
we got some prep connections. The younger Runyon is a bro barn guy, right?
Yeah, he's a bro barn guy. I think. Oh man, somebody.
Herbig's still there.
Yeah. Yes, somebody from the Bengals is too. I think. There's a couple of guys from around the league who are. So Lane, if you're listening, I know you are. I'm ready for my bro barn invite. If you, it's funny because I think the first time we saw Hurts deadlift like 500 pounds was in the bro.
It says a lot that he's like the lone skill position, sexy position guy that's allowed in like the big brawler bro barn.
I think Lane even mentioned that, and Lane's like, this is like normal.
I think they both live in South Jersey. I know Lane's there, and I know Hurts is in South Jersey, so that's probably part of it.
And we know who didn't get an invite.
Who's missed some invites over the years. Well, he's in the bro barn. He's in a duck blind in the middle of North Dakota. 5 a.m. like the thermos with the coffee. Like he's got the duck kazoo blowing, making the noises.
He's got the dark bowl Wawa coffee. He's in the duck blind at 4:58.
Sleeps like 2 hours. And I'm not even just trying. Like, he was obviously awesome for a period. They don't win without him. Meant a lot to a lot of people. But it's funny though. Like, people get mad at me because I wrote like that whole depression article about the Eagles. And you can't. But what happened with that? And I was like, he was awesome then, and it was really good for me, and it was really good for the team. It was really good for the city. It was great, but he's gone now. Things ended really poorly. Things can change over time, and some of the aspects we overlooked or ignored because we liked the guy, we liked the team, we liked things were going, are objectively hilarious in retrospect.
And I think people, I think last week it was, I think on the radio, an anonymous scout was like, he's just as talented, or he's more talented than Hurts. And like, why?
That was Adam Kaplan.
Oh, right. Okay.
It wasn't even anonymous. Definitely not a scout.
And definitely not right. Adam Kaplan's definitely not a scout. But like, my thing is, what football was Adam Kaplan watching, or like, what do you watch? He like the guy.
Like, theoretically, 5 years ago, Wentz is talented, but 5 years changed a lot with several season-ending injuries, regression as a passer, loss of mobility, all of those things. Like, in a vacuum, Wentz had all the arm talent in the world, but that doesn't exist anymore. That's not reality. We don't play football in a vacuum, and things have changed. And Hurts' mobility and dynamicism are, much better than Wentz now. And I don't even know by December we could be saying Hurts is a better passer than him. I don't think that's crazy. Do you know what I mean? Just the way his career has gone, and it would have been. Best case scenario for the Eagles was that he was a franchise quarterback for 15 years, and he's beloved, key to the city, multiple times Super Bowl MVP, but that just didn't come to fruition. That's not reality.
Also, quarterback's hard, man. Like it's a hard.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's a hard position to play professionally.
Right. It's a hard position to scout. It's a hard position to draft.
It's probably the hardest position in all of sports to scout, I would think.
Oh, happily. And the reason being because if it was just about get a guy with a big arm, everybody would just have a guy with a big arm. But it's 100% not about that. It's more about the mental skills, the aptitude, like what kind of leader are you in the locker room? And people have blatantly said like half the locker room didn't even like the guy. You know what I mean? Like call it whatever you want, but post injury, the locker room and his presence on the field and off the field weren't the same, and I think that you have to account for that too. Like I'm not a was it the injury or was it something that Doug said to him type guy, but we do know that post Super Bowl things just weren't the same with him.
Yeah, like he's human. It's impossible for
Right.
the Foles thing not to affect him.
Yeah.
And there's that storyline, I think, before last season or earlier this off season, that was, he kind of got mad with that crew of injured players, all those like Sproles, Peters, all these guys that were really, really elite players that were missing time. They're like, man, it feels weird that they're winning and we're not there. And then they're like, what? How could you say that? And it's a very human reaction and emotion. And I understand that, can empathize with it, but you're not a podcaster, dude. You're an NFL quarterback who is not just the face of a franchise, the way football is in Philly. You are literally the face of the city. Right. You're the face of the Delaware Valley.
Right.
And you can't be acting like that.
Like you're it.
And you're it. Like the whole city, the whole area revolves around you, your attitude and your play. Inherently, I mean, it's maybe not fair to him as a person, as a human being, but given your job, the way you're getting paid, the fame, the fortune, everything revolves around you. You need to be held to a higher standard.
And mind you, not only that, it was also during a time where you were probably going to win the league MVP. Like you were also the face of football at that time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You were the way people are talking about Herbert, Allen.
Right.
It seems so long ago. I feel like I'm talking to like a younger generation fan base that doesn't even like remember what it was like then.
Right. Right. And it's funny. Speaking of Herbert, like he is definitely one of those guys. I love him. I think I don't know if I want to see him.
I might do some concern trolling over Justin Herbert this fall. I think he's awesome. I love the Chargers as like an objective football team to watch.
Yeah.
But they're the toughest division in football, and if they miss the playoffs, you're going to see some, Jalen Hurts QB playoff starts, playoff games finished. 2 or 3. Carson Wentz 0, Justin Herbert 0. That's my tweet. I immediately mute notifications on in January.
I was
gonna send tweet, mute notifications, go about my day.
Tweet, mute, go about my day. We don't argue. That's what I was going to allude to, is that I'm like you. I love them. I think the Chargers are
objectively the most fun team.
Objectively the most fun team to watch. They got a really, really fun team on offense. They got a bunch of dogs on defense, or so we think.
And every uniform combination is better than the previous one.
Literally.
And I'm wearing my blue and yellow UCLA baseball jersey, so a little bit of a similar vibes if you're watching on YouTube or seeing a video clip.
Nike hooks them up so much. Like Nike.
What's the connect there? I'm missing it because and then the Seahawks got some preferential treatment, I think, for a while, given the Pacific Northwest connection.
Yeah, because look at UCLA, look at USC. USC always gets hooked up. But I think that they are they're how I felt about the Bills 2 years ago, I guess. Like I
think that's fair.
I need them. I need him to get them to the playoffs. And I need them to make a little bit of noise. Like I think it's fair to ask that now. Like he's a guy who people look at and say, yeah, he's definitely it. Like he is. There's no next up. Like Herbert is right there with the rest of those guys. Then, which is fine. I don't think people are wrong, but I need to see him go get a playoff spot this year.
I'm seeing if they play the Chargers this year, the Bills. That'd be a hell of a game.
That would be
every Bills game I'm looking at now should be like a national televised game. It's Rams, Titans. Both of those games are nationally televised. I hate that the Eagles week 2, they're doing the Monday Night Football. It's not even a true doubleheader. They're starting like an hour and a half apart, and I'll be at the link watching the Eagles Vikings.
You'll be at the game.
Able to see any Titans Bills. But then you have a Dolphins game, Ravens, Steelers. They're playing the Chiefs in Kansas City, the Packers at home. Doesn't look like they're playing the Chargers, but maybe come postseason they are.
That Packers game is going to be a ton of fun. I think the Packers obviously they're going to be annoying again this year, at least until Rodgers decides to hang him up. So, they'll have something to say for sure. I think that I still look back at the 49ers as like the team that probably scares me the most. I mean, any conference with Tom Brady, you can never count out, but like I just think that if the 49ers stay even a tenth healthier than they were last year, they're going to be so annoying to have to play against or think about whether it's regular season or playoffs.
Yeah. What's your like most anticipated Eagles game this year? I know we're getting farther than training camp, but we can close up with that.
I want to say I'll give you my 1 and 1A. I think that some I know people have mixed emotions because it's a night game, but I really do like having to play the Vikings for the home opener.
Hey, last time I went to an Eagles Vikings night game, it was pretty good.
Yeah, right. I mean, last time we had them at night in Link, it turned out pretty well. So I'm excited for that. I think that's going to be a really, really fun game. It'll be nice, and it's obviously in September. We get that 70-degree day and like 40, 50-degree night. So it'll be a nice breezy night. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm torn because I feel like there's also there's a ton of storylines, but I think that Jaguars game is going to be fun. Um,
I
but
think that's gonna, from a media perspective, the Doug coming back to town. We have so many. We have Wentz coming back. We have Doug coming back.
right,
I'm so into seeing what happens with those games. I want to see what the fan reaction is. Are the Eagles going to do a tribute to Doug before the game? All
yeah,
these different things.
yeah, so I think that those are my two for sure. I mean, any divisional games you always look forward to. I think the Bears game is going to be fun because that's during the time where we could get some snow, and it like snows every day in Chicago in December. Um,
I
and
think a snowball where the Eagles are in their white jerseys and black pants
yeah,
would be good vibes.
to a ton
They
of
look
good
very
vibes, a
cool.
lot of fun. It's gonna. I think that's a fun time. We need a good snowball. We didn't get a snowball last year, past couple years, but
We're
I need
nine
snowballs.
years since the snowball.
Isn't that crazy? I feel like all this stuff has been
I feel
so
like an
recent, but
old POS after hearing
yeah.
that.
Also, for anyone listening, I know you might watch it, but LaShawn McCoy on the I Am Athlete pod
Is
is.
that is he the only host of that? I see all the clips all the time. Is it
I
just
think
or is he just a guest all the time?
he's a consistent guest,
Okay.
but he tells awesome stories. Like I know everybody's heard the Namdi story already, but he's actually pretty good. He tells a lot of stories about obviously his time here, not so much like locker room drama, but more so just like the players and the coaches he's been around and
Yeah.
just his league time. He actually is pretty introspective in some of his stuff.
Yeah. I'll have to check that out more often. I just see the clips that circulate, like Deshaun, like the one with him and Deshaun, and then
Yeah,
obviously the Namdi
yeah,
one with Selleck and
yep.
Clay Harbor and all that stuff popped off.
Yo, our last. So this is my last thing. Shout out to our guy. Shout out to D-Jack on his Super Bowl ring.
Yes.
The Rams. So the Ram D-Jack got there. Felt like he wasn't going to get playing time. So we're catching everybody up. So last year D-Jack got to LA. Felt like playing time was going to be scarce. Asked for a trade or release. It was obliged, and then now fast forward to now, to this year rather, and the Rams hooked him up with a Super Bowl ring. So shout out to him for getting a ring. I don't know how he feels about it.
That's got to be bittersweet, man.
Yeah,
Like, do you even want it?
yeah, like
Like,
at
I'm
that
saying
point,
everyone wants a Super Bowl ring, but
right?
it's got to be hard.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's gotta be tough, especially, um, uh, you know, given the idea that was like the goal all along. Like it's gotta be
Yeah.
tough to sit through. But so we'll see if he puts it on display at his house or something. But yeah, I mean everybody wants one, but it's weird how he got his nonetheless.
I wish he was on that Eagles team that won and he got a ring. Like, I,
Yeah.
I, I wouldn't take a single guy off that roster for what they
Yeah.
contributed. So
No.
I'm not
No.
saying
No.
it
Yeah.
like that. And I don't want to be like the Sixers fan and saying like, oh, like Robert Covington better get a ring and like teach him how if they ever win. Like, I'm not doing it like that.
Yeah.
It's just that he was in this middle era between
Yep.
the end of the Andy era, so he wasn't on the
Yep.
best teams there, and the Chip Kelly era was this weird era before the
Right.
Doug era took off. He was kind of in this middle ground, and then comes back and he's he's like Lane Johnson steps out there and just like his body falls apart, but then he never plays.
Never play,
like Lane. Right. It's funny, wild. He has caught a touchdown pass from both Donovan McNabb and Jalen Hurts.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm trying to see if I could list all the guys he's probably caught a touchdown from. So, writing them down. McNabb for sure.
Yep.
Vic.
Yep.
Cobb ? He started like 4 games in that era. So Cobb ? I'm putting there. Wentz. Foles. How could I forget that guy?
Yeah.
And Hurts. So that's potentially that's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. And maybe I'm missing somewhere in there. Someone else said
that. That's longevity, especially for a guy who some people question wouldn't make it that long in the league. Shout out to him, man. I also am happy that he at least got some. I'm sure not having a ring was a part of a door that was closed for him. So regardless of how he got it, he's got one. It's good for him. Good on the Rams for doing something cool for somebody, especially during the time and in a league where guys literally continue to play just for a chance to win a Super Bowl. So good for everybody.
What was I thinking of? Oh, he was on there. He caught a touchdown pass for the Raiders on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, on Thanksgiving
against Cowboys. That was the last great Deshaun Jackson moment that I was able to receive, and I'm happy.
That was literally like the last one I think of is that absolute bomb that he caught on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man, against Dallas too. He always played well against Dallas, even when he had that nitwit drop fumble touchdown thing. He still always balled out against them. That's all you could ask for. He was at his best, and he wasn't on a team that ever won a playoff game in Philly to have to go straight against them. But whenever they played Washington, whenever they played the Giants, whenever they played Dallas, he played his best. And I have to give props for that. I want guys who are big-time players in big-time games, whether it's prime time. Deshaun always showed up in prime time. He always showed up in divisional games. That's big.
And that's really what you want, right? A guy that shows up in divisional games. You don't even have to say big games because every divisional game is big. He shows up in divisional games, and he shows up in prime time. Everything else, I'll give him a pass for.
Yeah. Right. I like ending things on a Deshaun note.
Yeah, that's
definitely one of my favorite Eagles ever.
I love that.
Him. All right. Anything to plug? The newsletter?
RiceRickySanchez.com/newsletter. We are, it's crazy. We were just talking about this earlier for football, but the NBA season.
It's coming too.
Dude, the season ends and then, the drama continues. So we've been nothing short of stuff to write about. So, tune in, tap in. We got some cool stuff going on. And before you know it, September will be here and training camp starts. So, hit us up, man. Holler at us. We're out every Thursday, and we'll have some good stuff coming up in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and be sure to follow my work at phillyvoice.com. Obviously, from the main BGN radio show, Jimmy Kempsky is the co-host with BLG. Also, our Eagles beat writer at phillyvoice.com. So be sure to stay tuned to BGN Radio, BleedingYourNation.com, and phillyvoice.com. Talk next week. Do a little first week of camp recap. I will be there Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So stay tuned to my Twitter and Instagram at Shamus and Clancy for all that good stuff during it. Talk to you, bro.
All right, bro. Be good.